Welcome to Book Club 4 Movies, everybody. It's May 3rd. I'm Ryan Miller. He's about to get naked. Matt Amberg. Just a line from the movie.
Is it?
Just a line from the
Is it? Hey.
It started out as just a line from the movie.
Hey, you know what? May the 3rd be with you.
It's not. It's can't. I guess it is movie-ish related.
It's
you know, that's fine.
How is it
I'll
not?
allow it.
Yeah, you'll definitely allow it. Don't allow it.
Because it's Book Club for Movies, where we talk about movies, preferably one that we've watched in this previous week, and we invite you to do the same and then participate.
Participation is key. I participate with you. We want you to participate with us.
There it is.
And then we participate together.
This week, it's a fun little film.
It was a fun little film.
It's called Logan Lucky.
Logan Lucky, rolling in at an hour and 59 minutes, directed by Steven Soderbergh, written by Rebecca Blunt, starring Channing Tatum,
Magic Mike,
Adam Driver,
Kylo Ren,
Catherine Waterston.
I don't know.
She was in Alien. Riley Keough,
Alien,
Daniel Craig,
James Bond,
Katie Holmes,
Tom Cruise.
Whoa.
No. You forgot Winter Soldier.
Disturbing behavior. He's only in the movie for like 2 seconds. Sebastian
But don't
Stan.
forget him.
Yeah, Sebastian Stan also is in the movie.
And Dwight Yoakam.
And Dwight Yoakam, yes. Dwight Yoakam. What a weird actor he is.
I love it when he shows up in anything.
He's fun. So your synopsis here is a West Virginia family man and his one-armed brother and their sister decide we're going to go ahead and steal money from a speedway in North Carolina during NASCAR's biggest race of the year. Can they do it alone? Hell no. They need the help of Daniel Craig, an explosive expert that happens to be incarcerated.
Did you spell that out?
Okay, so that's our synopsis.
It's good. It's a good synopsis. It tells us so much and yet so little.
Yeah.
Like any Soderbergh film, I guess.
So, okay.
What is your history with Soderbergh? Actually, this is one where I think we start director first.
You want to start director first?
Yeah.
Let's see. You know, I go back to let's see. Aaron,
that's accurate.
I'm trying to think, like at this point, I'm guessing I've seen almost everything he's done film wise. I remember really liking Kafka. That was actually really great. He did The Limey, which love The Limey. Don't know if I should mention that or not.
No.
Okay.
Kidding.
That's fine.
No, I'm joking. Yeah, no, that's fine.
The Ocean's movies are
interesting.
Fun. Solaris is good. I like the guy in general. I think he's got a pretty. He's one of those directors that I still feel has a true indie sensibility, even when he's trying to make a bigger film. It doesn't always come across, but I can see him trying that. Like I can kind of see the hamster wheels going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Even in the Ocean's movies, like you can see that. It's almost that those moments of large scale things almost feel a little like awkward, not awkward in a bad way, just like almost out of place because everything else is so tight. Like all of those movies, they follow those characters so tightly and what they're doing, and all the rooms are so small. Even in that, he makes them feel small until he makes them feel big.
Right.
And it's just a weird thing. I don't know. He keeps that sensibility, I think. So that's kind of, and I like. He
does, yeah. Even in the big ones, I mean, in the Ocean's movies are outliers. Like they're great,
yeah.
And we've recently talked about them, I think, and I even said that 13 was a lot better than I remembered it being.
Right.
But they're outliers in a lot of ways. The DNA is there, like you can see Soderbergh throughout, and in fact, in a way, especially in 13, because that thing gets darn near experimental at times, like the shots and the colors and just lots of weird stuff in there. But. Yes, for the words I had in mind were he's kind of just one of the unsung innovators, I think, of film in a lot of ways. And I think what you talk about is because he's willing to take chances that some of that stuff, that maybe that indie sensibility comes across, because he's like, this might not work, or even this didn't work, but here it is.
Well, and I mean, I mean, we're talking about Logan Lucky today, but just as an example of that, I think that like really solidifies it is his most recent movie, Unsane. He's one of those guys that he decided, I'm going to make a really small movie using iPhones, and that is, it's kind of a hip thing to do now after Tangerine came out, made it a big thing. But Soderbergh saw the potential there and decided, I'm going to make a feature film and spend all my extra money on everything other than the camera and like those things.
Right.
So, yeah.
So yeah, this is going to be definitely more along the lines of an Ocean's movie. I think, in fact, a lot along the lines of an Ocean's movie for reasons we'll get into. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's completely removed from Soderbergh as a director, and thankfully too, because I do like kind of some of the weird stuff he does, and we will get deeper into that also, I think, after the show and in 2 weeks from now.
Very likely. It sounds like it.
This one in particular, though, Logan Lucky, I liked.
You liked?
I liked. I enjoyed.
Sure.
Not my favorite Soderbergh.
Nope.
Not my favorite film. These are stupid ways to qualify any movie that you see, honestly.
Sure. Because right now you're saying I saw a movie and it was fine.
Yeah, but it was a ton of fun, and the performances that were turned in by every single actor actually are super fun and great. Like Daniel Craig is a freaking blast.
Daniel Craig, absolutely the standout of the movie. His every moment he's on screen, he is just that blonde hair and that terrible, hilariously weird West Virginian accent that he's decided to put on is fantastic.
And Channing Tatum like dials it back in a lot of aspects.
Yeah,
and I'm starting to like him more and more.
This is a movie where he plays the straight man with another straight man, which I think is the funniest part. Is in many ways Tatum and Adam Driver are both kind of play straight men, almost to Daniel Craig's. He's not the goofball, like he's not the wild card. It's just like it is like this weird cadre of normal, like they're not goobers. You know, they're not. They Driver and Tatum play brothers, and you know, I guess this is totally a movie where I can say I felt like those two could have been brothers, like the way that they interacted. It's really good.
Sure. They're really good, and I think that's where this is more in line with the Ocean's movies. Is that it's an ensemble casting. Like Soderbergh does things that are more dialed back, and he does experiment so much that I would say it's unfair to pigeonhole him as the Oceans guy. Like all of his movies aren't these ensemble things like Oceans and like this thing, but this thing is like it's character driven.
Well, no, I agree. I actually this is definitely character driven because I feel like the plot here is very backseat. I mean, it matters. It's what's driving them, but they're driving it, and so much more than in other films where there were points
exactly.
where it's like, I know what they're doing. I know why they're doing it. It's all kind of there, and it's it's not that it doesn't make sense. It's just like, what are they doing to get there? How is this working out?
Imagine this thing without the characters. Like this, we probably wouldn't be talking about it right now. Honestly.
No.
Yeah, which is fine. It all works together. I think that's another strength of this thing. And it's not to say that it's without some of the other Soderbergh DNA. Like one of the other things I've noticed that his movies excel at are the use of music, and you can tell it's a Soderbergh movie within at least the first 5 or 10 minutes because his whole style for me is encapsulated most often in the phrase, "Oops, I left the camera on," maybe. And the music goes right with that. Like the music is usually, or at least first, this movie loosens up on the parameters.
It did.
Towards the end.
Because I very much so noticed that.
But at the very beginning, it's totally that thing. Like there's a song playing, they talk about it, they reference it, but it's coming from something inside the movie. And it's affected. Like it's later on, a different song comes through the radio and you hear it like that. It's not a score. It's not even like it is later,
right.
Played to a montage or something like that. But most of Soderbergh's movies I've seen do that in a way that emphasizes where the music isn't, I guess is what I'm saying, because there are large swaths where it's just silent, and he lets I don't know if he adds room tone, but it's room tone the movie for a lot of it, and it's used to great effect. Like, I love those portions of his movies.
Yeah. No, I'm a huge fan of the ambient. I love any director that's willing to take a little bit of time and pull music out and let the room, like the ambient sound and dialogue be, that's it. Like, I love that. I'm always a fan of that. There's that's something that to me is there's a bravery level with that, because you really are at that, like, music, people forget this, and we've mentioned this before. I know I've mentioned this before. Music is so integral to the film going experience. You people don't recognize it nearly as much. People recognize, you'll remember the theme song because you know Star Wars, but you don't realize necessarily that all these different themes from Star Wars. And it's when you go,
great example. Exactly. I mean, think about Star Wars with the music taken out. Like, I think it would be weird as hell. It wouldn't hold up, honestly.
And there are plenty of sequences in other movies where music swelling or music just even like just faintly in the background matters. And when directors can take that out, and Soderbergh is one of those directors he's an actor's director. Actors like working with him. This is a known quantity in Hollywood. Like Soderbergh is not difficult, like some other directors can be. He's very much so an actor's director. So for him to actors know that he's going to trust them. He trusts the actors, and when you have that kind of direction, you get things. Kubrick did it too, to great effect. Where there are times when just dead silence, you just have
You need directing chops for it. Like, you can't just, it's not an easy, trick, I guess.
Right.
And at those times where he has removed the music, it's stunning with what he does. Like, especially this movie, maybe my favorite parts of Logan Lucky are when it's not Ocean's 11, because it's a redneck Ocean's 11. Like,
100%.
In so many ways.
Yeah.
We'll go through this semi-chronologically like we do. Towards the end, we'll get deeper into when it's not, because I think that's when it tells you how it's not. But for a large part, like, the movie begins, these guys, Channing Tatum's down on his luck for several different reasons. He needs to get some money, so he's concocted a scheme. He's employed his brother, his sister, and Daniel Craig is the guy they know they need, because they need somebody to blow a thing up. So they go into jail to talk to him, manufacture an escape. That they need to get them out. Them, I say, because his brother goes in eventually. Get them out and in, and to complete the heist from there on out.
Yeah, there's this weird little convoluted bit where they have to get Adam Driver's character into jail so he can get Daniel Craig's character out of jail, while all doing this in less than a full day, so that they can get out of jail and get back into jail without ever being caught. That's the goal here.
Yeah, and that's also where the math, that was maybe my one complaint as far as it. And if you watch any of the Ocean's movies, it's endemic. Like this, maybe to heist movies. Period. There's always that one thing.
The time thing.
The time thing. It's also a lot of things hinge on a lot of things working together, or one thing especially. For me in this movie, it was Dwight Yoakam. Like, he's the warden in the jail, and they're able to escape because they engineer a riot that Dwight Yoakam, being the warden, says, we don't have riots at Monroe. So because he's the guy that nothing goes, like, playing to his ego, he doesn't call the cops. And that's the whole reason they're able to be gone and come back, is because they're in lockdown. So there was a lot riding on Yoakam acting the way he did, Yoakam's character acting the way he did.
Right.
That was the stretchy part for me, one of them at least.
Yeah, that was it though. Everything else, rock solid, totally made sense.
Okay, fair enough.
I especially like the bomb that was made. That has to be real. So Tatum's character worked under the racetrack that they're going to rob. That's how. So he knows. So he has all of this information about where things are, who works there, how things fit. So the goal here is they're going to take. They found all these pneumatic tubes, and they're going to siphon the tubes essentially to take all the money out because it's such a humongous day that there's no way they can count the money.
Well, it turns into a humongous day because they were going to do it. And maybe this is I think one of the other strong points of the movie is that the interactions, right? The small interactions. This is in West Virginia. Like there's a lot of that Southern redneck stuff. And it's funny. Like they're going to do it on a different day when it's not so busy. So then he goes to Daniel Craig's brothers to recruit them. And they're like, nah, we've reformed. Like we need a good like moral reason to do this. And he's like, well, because they're stealing the money is initially from like a supermarket chain or something that's going to be there,
right?
Have some deposit. And they're like, our sister used to work at one, and the manager got handsy at one point, and they're like, okay, all right, let's do this. You know, there's lots of little interactions like that, little things like that shine for sure.
Yeah. I know, agreed. And the brothers were really funny, and I kept like every time the one dude with the hat on, I kept thinking, man, why is that not Bill Hader?
The long-haired guy.
Yeah,
well, you know why he's not Bill Hader?
Why?
He's a Quaid.
Is he a Quaid?
He's a freaking Quaid. Yeah. Which should make everything better. No, that makes it better.
No, he was fine. He was good. He was funny. They were good.
we need some Quaid space. There's been a Quaid power vacuum ever since.
No, when you say Quaid, are you referring to Dennis and Randy or the Quaid or the Quaid from Total Recall?
Such a fine line nowadays.
Yeah, Kuatu is my hero. The other portion of this movie is like that the Logans as a family have been cursed. And you're led into this throughout the movie. They kind of hint at this thing that they're not they something happened that made them that kept them where they are and kind of put them on a downturn. And every time you see them, even though Adam Driver lost his arm in war, he's still like. They show him at one point blowing a car up in every throw. Like he uses a Molotov cocktail. Everything he does, perfect. 100%. There's the throw. When Channing Tatum has to throw his hard hat, he tosses it, perfect throw right into the thing. So they have all these bouts of luck where everything they seem to do can't go wrong, but they can't make their actual lives change. You know, like that's kind of the thrust of the whole the Logan luck. And
it's perfect in that environment too, because it is set in the South. It is set in West Virginia. And maybe this is where at Rabies actually on Twitter had something to say that I think will inform this part of the discussion. She says at first she was loving it, and she brought out the cauliflower line especially, which I thought was actually especially good too. That's kind of the word that sets off the second act that in so many ways.
Oh no, that was the moment of in Hunt for Red October when they transition from Russian to English. It was the apocalypse moment or whatever it is, Armageddon.
Well, because they don't explain it either. He just says it, and then the cut to, did you say cauliflower? Anyway, apparently it's a word that they've decided on that will,
He explains it kind of. He said it had something to do with when they were younger, and something came up where that was the word that the last thing that was said was cauliflower.
It's good. It's perfect. And goes with what At Rabies was saying. Says, it was a lot funnier than I thought it was going to be, and I love that none of these brilliant, attractive actors needed to be brilliant or attractive in it. I love that they had little quirks for their characters too. All correct, and I agree, except for, and this is probably the wrong way to do it. Thank you for your comment. We're going to disagree. It's stupid. Or I'm going to disagree. Maybe you don't. But the characters in being set in the South here actually aren't not brilliant.
There's subtlety to it. Yeah. And I think that's informed though by the end, and I interrupted you.
Exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. And the movie toys with that too. Like they toy with the audience's expectation of that, or perception. Yeah, for sure. Because that's the thing. People from the South talk slow, so they are slow or something like that. I don't know.
No, it's a stereotype thing for sure.
Right.
And they play on that. They play on that, especially with the fact that not only are they Southern, but they're from West Virginia, and they're brothers, and they're down on their luck.
Takes place at NASCAR.
And I mean, there is a stereotype that is being played here. And the thing is, like I want to point this out. At no point I mean, and I'm not Southern, so maybe I shouldn't say anything about it, but at no point do I feel like they were ever making fun of the South with the movie, or even really making fun of the Southerners. They were using a stereotype and then proving it wrong.
Yeah, they were subverting it a little bit. And there's a lot of that did come at the end. Yeah. But the way they play with it throughout is where a lot of that comedy comes from too. And that's not bad. Like a movie should come out someday about how stupid people from California are, but some of them not so much. That would be funny.
I don't know. That doesn't sound like something that could ever be made.
You're clueless. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I was not trying to say that. I was trying to say that I had to go spend a lot of time in summer school.
Oh.
Yeah. Also, it starred Mark Harmon. And Shawnee Smith.
But no, this is these Southerners are not stupid, and they execute this heist. And again, these things are going to get spoiled, these movies we talk about. So if you don't want to know how Logan Lucky ends.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's similar in like we said, in many respects to the Ocean's movies, that no matter how many times you see it, you know the gag to it, and it's still kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And you have fun with the reveal at the end a little bit. There's some of that here, although I feel like that's subverted too. And maybe that's where we just get into to where this isn't like Ocean's 11. This number one ends and then doesn't for a long time. Ocean's 11, I feel like, has the semi-ending, but they don't keep you on the hook too long before they tell you what's actually going on.
Yeah.
Ocean's 13 especially, like I felt that was one of the failings, that it just didn't let anybody hang long enough. But this one hangs for a long time, and part of it is because there's this subplot, I guess, where his daughter is going to a pageant, and it's a strained relationship between him and his ex whatever
wife.
Anyways, yeah, okay.
That's usually what they are.
I don't know if they got married. They
ex-partner with whom he has a child.
Yes. So the daughter's going to be in a pageant, and he's trying to support her. He finishes up the heist just in time to show up at the pageant, and then she changes. She was going to sing a Rihanna song, and she ends up doing a John Denver song, which is who they were listening to at the very beginning of the movie. So there's this heart underlying the whole thing that kind of isn't there with an Ocean's movie. Like Danny and his team are definitely made to be the good guys. It's still Robin Hood. Andy Garcia is definitely made to be the bad guy.
But that's it right there. It's Robin Hood. Robin Hood is not. That's the story. Robin Hood doesn't have heart to it. Robin Hood is, I mean, I guess in some level maybe you could really argue, but Robin Hood's about righting the wrong, and where home is where the heart is. It's right, exactly. But it's not about family so much as it is about, I guess.
Yeah, and that's where I'm saying Logan Lucky is different. Like that's Oceans. Like Oceans, yes. That's your impetus. That's why it's okay, so to speak. Andy Garcia is a bad guy. There's the relationship between him and Tess, that's definitely woven into it. But in Logan Lucky, it's this idea, like Logan Lucky, like Channing Tatum does not get back together with Katie Holmes.
No, and no point do they even flirt with that idea. That's never. They make it very clear early on that he wants to be dad, and that's what he's concerned with.
Yeah, but what they do is when that scene happens and she sings the John Denver song, then they cut to him leaving the truck full of money and it getting recovered.
Yeah.
So we think for a bit at least that kind of the whole thing's been shot, and nobody in the movie seems to know either. Adam Driver, Joe Bang is the name of Daniel Craig's character, by the way.
Such a good character name. Joe Bang.
Gets out of jail, goes to talk to Adam Driver. Same thing. And this is the part that lasts so long for me, actually. Like I thought the movie was over to some extent, and they make it seem like, he's had a change of heart, or, seeing his daughter sing made him do something different.
Right. I'm surprised that did it go all the way through to the end where Craig digs everything up?
I think that's where it starts to change. So Daniel Craig is at his house, and then somebody drops off a shovel, and he almost ignores it, except he doesn't, and he goes to dig under a swing buy his property, which I think is where he supposedly hid some of the money before. There's a joke about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, he digs it up and he finds 2 bags full of money. And then everybody starts finding their money. Like the guy who started the riot at the prison gets out, finds the money in the seat. The accountant that they were able to get the code from the safe or whatever finds some money in her seat. So everybody starts finding this money. And we get the scene at the end where they're all seated at the bar. And there's a thing with Hilary Swank too, but my gosh, that thing should have been removed, actually. That might be my least favorite.
Yeah, we're going to hit on that in a minute.
So we'll come back to that. This will be out of order, but to finish the thought, they're sitting down in that bar, and literally somebody on the news says, they're calling it the Ocean 7-Eleven.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, they reference that in the movie, and then it's kind of like, well, this is a way more earthy version of an Ocean's movie. And I think to call out that it takes place in the universe where Ocean's movies exist.
Yeah.
Kind of adds to that. Like that's a fine touch. That almost could have come before the epilogue, I think.
Sure.
Because I feel like the epilogue, they give you that moment with the heart and the girl singing, and he gives away the money, but he didn't. He kept all the money, and everybody got all the money, and the money made everything okay. So it's kind of it's a weird ending for me. I'm sure I can make sense of it some way.
So I am going to diverge with you on almost all of this movie. I actually did not really enjoy the movie at all. I felt it plodded along. It had some really funny parts, and everything I've said that was positive, I absolutely believe. Like there were some really good parts to it, and it is a Steven Soderbergh film throughout. It was just very dull to me. This was not like, I just had a hard time with it almost all the way through. It was like, come on, do something more. I don't know what it was. Like every minute Daniel Craig was on screen was a joy. Those were all good sequences and fun, and he was fun and all that. My favorite scene of the whole movie was absolutely that end sequence where his daughter changes the song. And that whole sequence, not just her singing, but the diverging from what her mother and what her aunt was. It was the aunt, I think, that was helping her. That whole sequence from her deciding and then singing the song, getting the whole crowd to sing the song and all that. I really love that. It was such a good sequence, but for the most part, yeah, like it was just a movie that plodded along. And then that ending, it just kind of happens. It just sputters to an end. And like, that's the movie done.
It goes on too long, like I said, for sure. That yeah.
But it wasn't, and it's not that it like, not only that did it go on too long, which was an issue for me, that the fact that this goes back to that whole, very rarely is a 2-hour movie necessary this is a story that doesn't need 2 hours. It just time wasn't used effectively for me in this movie. And I actually wrote down, does this movie have editing issues or is it just me? That's one of my things, because it doesn't. It's
kind of a Soderbergh-ism too.
No. But again, I like Soderbergh. I think this is more just a story in the scripting. And I just had a hard time with it. It was not, I just didn't laugh as much as I wanted to or whatever. I don't know.
When I say it's a Soderbergh-ism, like it goes to what we're talking about. Like, he's willing to take chances. Like he lets the camera stay on things. Like I said, oops, I left the camera on. Like,
right. Yeah.
Not only is that a look, like that's a shot. Like,
not only is that a look, it's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle, man. Yeah. So it goes, I think maybe this is one of those moments where it didn't add as much as it took away.
Yeah. And I mean, and like I said, I think everybody that was in the movie for the most part had good performances. I think that Channing Tatum was great. You're right. He pulled back and I think he was good as the straight man. But that ending, man, that was such a brutal, like, it sputters. And then there's this whole other subplot that never takes off and ends in a way where okay, we're going to get a sequel to this? Really? Like, or is
I hope not, man.
Like,
yeah, no.
And it's this weird subplot involving the FBI and the characters are played by Hilary Swank and Macon Blair. And I love Macon Blair. Give me Macon Blair and everything.
Right.
But there is, like, and this is where I'm talking about the editing issues, where it's not that he let the camera go. It's
should have been edited out completely.
There had to be more to that for that to be even in the movie, and it's just something that
for Hilary Swank to be playing the part. Yeah, exactly what I thought. Something got cut
because there is no threat. At no point are the Logans threatened by them. They don't even. I don't even think they know they're like really there until towards the end.
No, they do, because remember he talks about how his phone got shut off and then it got turned on, and that's how he knew his phone was tapped until it got shut off again because he wasn't paying the bill.
Right.
That's how he knew. Because this is also where they're unfolding that they're smarter than they look. Like if you thought these guys were stupid, you were wrong. Like there's lots of red herrings along the way, like an Ocean's movie where like, oh, that's a mistake. That screwed up. The big one in the first Oceans is where dang it, Reiner has his heart attack.
Yeah.
Carl Reiner, yeah. We don't know that's on purpose until the very end. Like there's a few of those in this thing, but you're right. The Hilary Swank thing, like and the ending to that is the stupidest part because she shows up in the bar with kind of the whole
everybody
else
camera,
being in there.
So there's this camera kind of roll where it goes from Tatum or it goes from Driver to Tatum to Daniel Craig, and then it kind of comes back through them and then goes back to Hilary Swank on the other end of the bar, and Tatum says, or Adam Driver says, I've never seen you in the bar before. Are you new in town? And she says, something like, I'm here looking for somebody or something, something with that.
But maybe I'll stay a while.
Yeah. That was just stupid. And then
I don't know why. Yeah. I mean, that's another story. Like that's almost another movie. Like, she's investigating and she comes to like them, or she can't catch them, so she joins them type thing. Like, or
maybe the next movie is called Logan Unlucky, and
I don't know.
They get caught and they're all in jail now.
That could have been cut and would have made the movie shorter, tighter, better.
Yeah, but yeah, this movie, it fell flat for me.
Interesting.
Performances were fine. It was overly long, and it was just dull. I was really just bored throughout more of it than I thought, and that was something that came up again in my notes, was just dot. Is this end?
Dot. No, I think that's pretty good.
I have ellipses.
It's an uneven Soderbergh, and it's an uneven big budget Soderbergh, so maybe that's that. I mean,
I don't know. At Rabies, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Thank you for writing in. We appreciate it. Ryan,
she liked the movie better than you did, it seems. I would have to say.
No, she definitely liked it. Yeah, you clearly enjoyed it. So I don't know.
It's a dichotomy. Like these are fun to talk about because I feel like there is more to talk about in a way. Like I said last week was it last week with A Quiet Place? No, that wasn't last week. What was that?
2 weeks ago.
More often than not, there's just 11. So that's fine.
Right. No. And I totally see why this is a fun movie for people. Like I said, every minute Daniel Craig is on screen is great. Like he is the thing that elevates the parts of the movie he's in. You sucked my
arm off. Not Daniel Craig, but maybe up till that point, I was like, well, they just gave Daniel Craig all the best lines in the movie, and then Adam Driver said, "You sucked my arm off."
But what sells that is Daniel Craig's face and his just turning around and walking away. just whatever. Nope.
That, and it's like a full 30 seconds on Driver before he utters a word, like after his arm comes off.
It's pretty funny.
Anyways, Logan Lucky. 3.5 stars
out of 5. We're gonna go standard on this one. 7.
Okay,
it's 7. 3 out of. I can't. I just didn't like it that much. Sorry. Suck it up.
It's going down by the minute. We should stop talking about it. So if you want to talk to us about it, still even this movie, disagree with us, agree with us, it's podcast@bookclubformovies.com, or you can Twitter, Facebook, all of the above. We'll bring it in, and thank you to Rabies for commenting this week.
And next week, there will be no episode. I will be out in Texas, enjoying Texas Frightmare, seeing all sorts of horror people. But we are still going to give you a Book Club for Movies selection for the next week, so you've got lots of time on this one. Lots of time.
2 full weeks to get a good Soderbergh. I know for a fact you love this Soderbergh.
Yes, so two full weeks. We're going to go ahead and have you watch another Soderbergh movie, The Limey, starring Terrence Stamp. I love this movie. I am a big fan of it. You've never seen it, so I'm really looking. And I haven't seen it in a long while, so I'm really looking forward to revisiting it. Peter Fonda has some outrageously good parts in this.
Oh wow, he's in it too.
Yeah, he's real fun. Good movie, The Limey. I think you guys are all going to dig it. Take a watch. Let us know what you think about it. And now let's do the rest of the show.
So yes, The Limey in 2 weeks, and actually I almost watched The Limey this week. I had grand plans to just me and Soderbergh were going to sit down together.
No,
and it didn't happen.
Have some
as much as I thought it would. Well, number one, I didn't even know that La Limey was a Soderbergh. Like, you recommended it to me forever ago, and it's been on my list forever. At the top of my list, strangely enough. How do you not watch movies at the top of your list for so long?
Because we keep adding to them.
Bookclubformovies.com. But then, yeah, I saw that The Limey was actually a Soderbergh film, and I'm like, oh man. So I almost did that, but I was like, no, he's going to want to do, like, I feel like that's a show. So I didn't watch that, and I watched the other Soderbergh I've been meaning to watch for a long time, Haywire.
Oh, yeah. It's an interesting one.
It is. And it's more, so first time I watched that movie, I did not get past Gina Carano's performance. She's
a little rough.
It's a little rough, but I also did not give it credit. Like, she's actually way better than I remember or I gave her credit for. Like, you can tell it's not, like, you can tell that's not her first profession. Like, she's MMA, right, or something like that.
She was an MMA fighter for sure.
Gotcha. So you get that, right? She's the latest incarnation of Arnold Schwarzenegger to some extent. But then I watch it this time and I'm like, you know what? She's better than Schwarzenegger. Like, some of the nuances I completely missed the first time around. Like, I should have given her more credit. She does a pretty darn good job acting in that movie.
Yeah, I like her. I think she's she is definitely I think she's a little typecast, but I think she was
sure.
Good. That movie,
I mean, they completely waste her in the Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least they didn't waste her completely in Deadpool. So
what was she in Deadpool?
She was Francis's second in command. She was the one that at the end, Colossus and her fight, and he touches her boob and he goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and then she beats the crap out of him.
Dang it, I forgot that. Huh. Well, she's not wasted in this thing, like, at all, and she carries the movie entirely.
Which, by the way, that cast is nuts. That's got a great cast to it.
Yeah, Fassbender,
Ewan McGregor's
Michael Douglas, what?
Ewan McGregor?
Oh, yes,
Ewan McGregor. Yul Brynner.
Sorry, I don't know why I keep going back to him. It's good, and they all do great jobs. Like, it's I think where some of the Soderbergh stuff didn't hit or was a little bit out of place in a movie like Logan Lucky, it's completely at home here, and in a genre that's not necessarily, like, I'm not as well versed in his stuff as you are. I definitely haven't seen all of his stuff. Has he done an action movie like this that often?
No. Soderbergh was definitely more of a more drama, more thinky, PC stuff.
Yeah. So, but it seems like his stuff seems right at home here. Like, the same thing with the music. Like, there is it's kind of jazzy, like stuff that gets thrown in every now and then. I think sometimes during one fight scene, but for the most part, not. Like, the absence of music is, again, where stuff shines. Those fight scenes are brutal. Like I said, Gina Carano is not wasted in those at all. Fassbender, the one between her and Fassbender, is fantastic.
Yeah.
Bender, it's really good.
I hate you for that.
It's unplanned. I had to check when it came out because there were kind of shades of the Bourne Identity in there.
2011?
The Bourne Identity is, so it came out way after the Bourne Identity. The Bourne Identity, I love because it was very much a reaction against movies like, any Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Like, the fight scenes are very shaky cam. There's no, and this is something that Haywire does that I love. There's no, like, the punch sound effect. Like,
yes.
Like, they don't use that at all. They make it sound real, and it adds a lot to it. But this is almost a reaction against that, and like, this is where I say Soderbergh style is more at home in that there is no shaky cam. Like, if anything, the camera doesn't cut for a lot of those fight scenes, and I think that is paramount to not wasting Gina Carano because it's great. Like, those long shot fight scenes come off really, really cool.
Nice.
Liked it better than I remember.
Nice. Always good to have a revisit on something like that and go, oh yeah, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like watching things twice is the wrong way to not like a film sometimes.
Sometimes. I don't know what you just said, but I'm going to agree with it because it sounded good-ish.
That's all I want to talk about this week. I did go see Infinity War because I couldn't not. I got it. I had to work. One of the big reasons I didn't play, if you haven't listened to the video games podcast yet,
ZeroHitPoints.com.
I didn't play games. I didn't watch a ton of movies because I had to work more. This is stupid. This is the same thing I say every week, but it was more than usual this time. I had to put in like 2 12-hour days in a row, so it was super annoying. But at the end of the second 12-hour day, I was like, we should probably go see the Avengers.
You were at the end of your 12-hour day. At the end of your 12-hour day, did you just kind of look at everything you were doing and go, but nothing happened?
Yes.
No?
Did I snap my fingers? He snapped his fingers. That's what he did. Let's dive into this. And then nothing happened. That sounds like a superpower.
Are you sure you saw Infinity War this weekend?
It was Thanos. He does that. He snaps it and then, okay, I got it. I don't necessarily want to talk about it.
We might you might want to edit all that out actually.
No, definitely.
Significant
the
spoiler.
past 30
right
minutes, right?
That whole thing is a spoiler. That right there. That's a spoiler.
If you haven't read the books, I've seen a couple surprised posts about this thing, but it seems to be mostly from people that have no idea what an Infinity War is. My gosh, they know?
It's a war filled with infinites.
It's good. Like, are you gonna watch it sometime? I mean, I don't want to talk about it because I figure at one point you'll see it. If it's not a show, it'll be something we talk about together.
Honestly, odds of me seeing it in the theater probably pretty slim.
No, not in the theater. Just eventually.
Am I going to see it? Yeah, I'll see it eventually for sure.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it won't take as long as like say Age of Ultron did, which took me forever to see. But
right, better than Age of Ultron. Really good. Like it does an actually really good job of balancing those zillion characters.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah, I this is one where I mean now they all have the. You know, the problem with some of those earlier ones, like Age of Ultron, even for example, is that with for the entire Marvel universe, that's not a big enough threat for every single person in the universe to come into one spot to stop it. You know, it's kind of like the Avengers have that. This is more of a every single hero in the world now has one singular goal: not die. That's pretty much it now. Now it's like,
and most of them succeed. Actually, that's 50% of them. I'm not spoiling anything. Go read the books. That's the thing.
Spoiler alert. Let's delete everything.
So we can talk about that at some point.
All right. Well, I had some movies this week. Now I tried this. So I had some issues this week. We had a massive windstorm. Destroyed a whole bunch of stuff in my house, and I had to spend a lot of time repairing that. So I only got to watch 2 movies this week, and neither of them were Saw movies, which disappointed me on personal level.
Weird.
One of them I watched as I work out, so it was over 2 days. And then the other one,
because that's how long it takes you to work out.
It's long hours. You don't get a body like this.
Cut to you 1 day later doing a push-up.
You don't get a body like this without spending some time in the old Gime. You know what I'm saying? But Beth and I did also make our way out to the theater. We did see probably the most anticipated movie of 2017 that came out in 2018. So we're all excited about it. Came out. It's good. Liked it. Biggest movie of the year, maybe? Could be. Probably not.
I'm at a loss.
Super Troopers 2.
Then again, I didn't get the snap fingers. Oh, yeah. Wait, I thought you were waiting for Sean. Or is that just
Sean's probably not going to be able to make it out by the time the movie is still in theaters, so that just wasn't going to happen. So who cares about Sean? Stupid Sean. Wins on Super Troopers 2 rolled in an hour and 39 minutes. It was directed by Jay Chandrasekhar. It was written by the Broken Lizard guys and shockingly starred the Broken Lizard fellows. Also, Rob Lowe, Ty Labine, Hayden MacArthur from freaking Angie Tribeca. He's hilarious.
Oh.
Yeah, he's really funny. Ty Labine is from Tucker and Dale. Really funny. Those two guys, along with Rob Lowe, are all Canadian Mounties. And so the whole synopsis here is that the everything that happened in Super Troopers has not gone any better for them. They finally made it to being cops. They were also fired from being cops after there was an incident with Fred Savage. Which you do get at the very end. They give you the bumper for what happens and why there was a problem, and throughout the movie they keep talking about the Fred Savage ride along situation, and they kind of indicate that they killed Fred Savage, which at the end of the movie you find out they didn't really kill him so much as he killed himself, but whatever. It's funny. They so they are they've become a band called Cracklin' Bacon, I think is what they're called. The movie opens with them getting pulled over by Stifler, and then you find out that it was a dream. But
that seems oddly appropriate.
Yeah, it was really, really, really weird. So they're
too on the nose.
Yeah, so that they wake up and you find out that they're all working construction and that Farva is now their boss, which is like hell for them on Earth. And eventually they there's a weird dispute where some markers that had delineated where the border was between the U.S., or in particular Vermont and Canada, is actually further north than expected. And so now they're going to rehire the highway patrolmen, the super troopers, to go take over from the Mounties up there.
Nice.
And so in the process of taking over from the Mounties, much like the first movie, there is a smuggling operation. They're trying to figure out what's happening, and it goes from there. And they did a fantastic job using old jokes with a refreshed kind of feel to them, like material, but it's still the same gag, and it works every time they do it. It's like, it's funny as hell. They totally re-reference the old movie, or the original movie, without like, they either make fun of it by being like, so stupid, or by like fully going with it and digging into it. All the Broken Lizard guys are great. They're all fun. Farva gets a lot more time in this one than he did in the previous movie. Mac is still my favorite. Brian Cox comes back, has a little bit bigger role. Linda Carter returned.
That's right. He was the police
chief.
The bad
he was
police
the
chief.
No, he was the good guy. He was their chief. Yeah, they liked him. Yeah, it's funny, man. It is a great follow up to Super Troopers, which shocks me because
I was gonna say
this is not a movie
about
that
an impossible task.
It shouldn't have worked, and they totally made it work. And I don't know if it will ever be as funny as the original, because the original is just, it was, lightning in a bottle type thing.
Sure.
But man, did they get close with it. And there were plenty of laugh out loud things. And I know that the more I watch it, the more stuff I'm going to pick up out of it. Just like Super Troopers was a multi-watch thing, and it's, got funnier and funnier. And they definitely, there is one great moment where they kind of follow up. They do another drug moment where in the first movie it was the kids at the very, very beginning getting stoned, and in this one they've got a whole bunch of pills and they don't know what to do, so that each one takes a different pill and they all have different reactions to them. And one of them is like PCP, and there's a hallucination section. It's really good. It's super funny. Super Troopers 2 is good.
Man, that's cool.
The other movie I watched, I for some reason knew you were going to be on a Yul Brynner kick this week. So I watched the remake of The Magnificent Seven.
Oh, that's close enough.
Yeah, rolled in at 2 hours and 12 minutes, directed by Antoine Fuqua. This was written, interestingly enough, by Nick Pizzolatto, who was the guy that wrote and directed.
My nickname. What are you talking about?
Hey, it's Ryan Pizzolatto.
that guy Pizzolatto. He's just
Nick Pizzolatto is the guy that created and did True Detective. So he was like, everybody loves him for one season, and now he's a joke.
Right.
Written by him.
Who is this hack?
Yeah, starring. Wow, man, this cast is just insanity. It's bananas. Denzel Washington, Chris Pratt, Ethan Hawke, Vincent D'Onofrio, Byung-Hun Lee, Peter Sarsgaard, and Haley Bennett. I had been reticent about this movie for a while because I really, really love the first Magnificent Seven. I really, really enjoy Westerns. And I just wasn't sure what this was going to be. And I had high hopes for it, but I was so I don't know. Like, Denzel for me can be very hit or miss.
Sure.
And his, I really like Ethan Hawke, and he was a driver for me. Like, I really want to see Ethan Hawke. And so
it's almost worse when it looks like it could be good.
Right.
Because I think the trailers came out for that and you're like, man, that looks like it, but
it can't be that good. And nope. It's really good.
It is, right?
It is so good, man. That is like a legitimately good, that is a good remake. I don't care what anybody says. Denzel is freaking awesome in that movie. Pratt is honestly probably the weakest link out of all of them for me, and he's And part of that does come down to I've mentioned this before, and this counts Peter Quill. I have a hard time with him as an actor. It's not that he is Andy Dwyer to me. That's not it. He was good as Andy. I feel like that's all we're seeing of him, though. Like in every case, he
doesn't have a lot of range yet.
And this is a case where it's like he is more restrained, and he's better here, but he was still the weakest link. But you know, and to me again, the strongest link was the guy that I was hoping was going to be great, and I shouldn't say the strongest link. My favorite role was Ethan Hawke and Byung-Hun Lee. That they were freaking cool as, because he did take the coward role, which I as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh yes, he's going to be the coward that runs away, and then, you know, he gets it and comes back. Whereas in the original, I don't think he comes back, but.
Been a while.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think he leaves. Maybe he comes back. It's been a while. Sarsgaard, I love Peter Sarsgaard, man. That guy is so good as a bad guy all the time.
It's too good.
Yeah,
almost.
And his brother is so weirdly not like you don't expect him to be, and then he's Pennywise. So
that whole family, like whatever, like that, like they're just a
Stellan. Yes, Daddy Sarsgaard. Stellan's a weird guy. This is a great movie though, man. It looked fantastic. The use of the original theme with a little bit of a remix, and then finally just they give the original theme a kick at the end, was awesome. And a breath, like a sigh of relief when that happened too, because there were some trailers that were like, oh no, they're gonna just like rock music. And they didn't. There was like none of that. There was it was a quote unquote proper score for a Western.
And it being Fuqua too, like you could see him doing that, maybe, you know.
But it was good, man. I loved it. I loved everything he did with it, and I thought that all of those performances were fun. Vincent D'Onofrio's weird accent thing that he was doing with his weird voice.
Vinny being Vinny.
Denzel was absolutely fantastic. Like he owned that movie in every sense of the word. Like that movie, I honestly, legitimately, it's one of those casts where you gotta have somebody like Denzel Washington running that kind of cast, like kind of leading that group, and he just does it so well. Yeah. And I love, I love seeing
he's
him.
Yul Brynner, right? Like that was Yul Brynner.
Yeah, he was Yul Brynner.
The gravitas.
Yeah,
gravitas man.
And I do love. I'm a huge fan of like I've mentioned this 3 times, Ethan Hawke, and seeing them together again is great, because I thought them playing against each other in Training Day was unreal. Like they were so good actually. Together.
Yeah, he was the other guy in Training Day. Yeah, that's true.
He was the trainer and the trainee.
That's right. He was the trainer and Denzel was the day. And the stuff when they were like, "Oh
man, you saved
it's
my
3 p.m.
sister,"
and he's like, "No, it's not." And
drugs. So yeah, and the cinematography for it was great too. Like it was a really beautiful movie, and some of those wide shots that he takes, you see them in every Western that exists. It's that wide shot with the silhouettes and stuff. But man,
I would say it plays it closer than maybe most Westerns even.
It just so well, like just so good. And there are a couple of really beautiful wide tracking shots and stuff. The one major criticism I will give that movie is, and it comes back to the cinematography actually, is there's one section where the cinematography totally lost me, and it's like you could see that it was a set. It was just not. Something wasn't right, and you could just see how much that was a set. That it was not. It was not the Wild West, It
was Westworld, man.
It was.
I always tell you.
It was Westworld, the TV version that I watch. That I don't watch. I haven't really watched any of it, but I will watch it.
And that's the Westworld discussion we said we were going to have.
There it is. Book Club for Movies. Hey, so let us know, you guys, if you got some movie suggestions, anything else you want to talk about this week. You want to mention Logan Lucky again. 2 weeks from now, like we said, Gonna skip next week. So 2
Nothing
weeks.
next week.
2 weeks
I
from
mean,
now.
we might have something. I feel like because last time we didn't do anything, we both left. This time you're just leaving. So theoretically, I could do a thing.
Hey,
and
do it, man. Do a single.
as you
Do a solo
and-
bolo. Be like.
no, not like. Let's not get crazy.
Okay, just do a solo Rolo.
I will eat a lot of candy. Done.
Just one.
My promise to you. Bookclubformovies.com, podcast at Book Club for Movies, Facebook, Twitter,
Next week, the Limey. Get on it.
or in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Try it.
2 weeks, the Limey. Get on it.